people even ask me like, what do you do? I say like, I work in marketing, man. Like my girlfriend's always like, why don't you tell people you own a business? I'm just like, honestly, I would say it goes back to like when, you know, when COVID had hit and I lost everything. And like,
For
I
real?
remember, yeah,
Dude,
I didn't know that.
story. Tell that
Yeah,
story.
I
didn't know
It's
that.
a crazy story.
So what happened was, dude, we were doing the same thing, social media marketing, like content creation. And I remember like COVID had hit, bang, deal lost.
For
But
real?
why? You were dealing with primarily
I was
restaurant
dealing with all
businesses.
restaurants and it was just shutting down. This was like what, 2020, beginning
For
of 2020.
real?
Yeah, man. And
Okay,
every
that's
single
crazy.
client. And then there was this one big client, dude. This was like, it was a 6-figure contract. We had a deal signed. Bang. Like everyone had
Is it what I think it is?
No, probably not.
What's the first letter?
It starts with an M.
Okay, I don't know what that is.
Yeah, it starts with an M. Big franchise here in probably in Quebec, mostly Quebec. But I just lost that one, and I remember like sitting. I
Damn.
remember reading the email, like not even like that. And John and I had lost like probably like every single deal like leading up to that day, and that was like our bread and butter. We're like, yo, if we lose this, like
Yeah, it's done.
done.
Oh shit! I
So
didn't
then
know
we
that.
lost that, and then I'm at dinner. And like my mom looks at me, so she's like, "You finally gonna get a real job?" And I was just like,
Oh, I'd be so mad. Oh, I'd be so mad.
"Bro,
And I remember you dealing with this, and you called me one day. He calls me one day, like in the middle of COVID, and at this time I had a job in another place. I was learning real estate from somebody in the industry.
Yeah.
And I remember he calls me, so I take the call and I'm like, "Hey, what's up? Whatever." And he's like, "Oh, I'm just really down right now." And I was like, "Why? What's up?" And I remember you telling me, you're like, "We literally lost every single one of our clients. You're like, they're all shut down because of COVID. This
Yeah.
is insane."
Wow.
And it's so funny because you literally pivoted completely from that moment, and it ended up being so
best.
beneficial to you.
In
And
the
that's what
moment,
I
it was
always
tough,
tell
yeah.
people is like, the worst things, you can't change it. They're horrible. It happens to you. It's done. How you respond to that, I like to convince myself that that situation was essential to me getting to the next level.
agreed."
And I think that's exactly what happened to you.
It was. I felt horrendous for like, oh, bro, I remember that night. I started waking up. That's how I started waking up early. I went to bed that night. I was like probably at 9 p.m. And I was like, I'm going to wake up tomorrow. I'm just going to go for a fucking run. It was like
Oh, yeah.
probably like still like, it was like probably like, this was like April. I don't know. I forget what it was, but like it was still cold outside. And I started running like every day, bro. Every day, to the point where I was running like 10 kilometers. I ran a marathon that year, bro. I was just started running, bro. I was like,
have to
that
put
or I'm
your
gonna
mind
go
somewhere
insane.
else.
Yeah, man. But you know what? I pivot on that. But the long story short, in regards to why I don't tell people that, is because I remember going on social media, and at the time it was like when, you know, the course game, you know, there wasn't too many people in the course industry.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing everyone that I was following was just doing amazing. Oh, amazing, 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 amazing. And I felt horrendous. And I was just like, and I swear to God, I was like, I don't, and I remember even unfollowing some people, and I was just jealous. Like, I was just putting my insecurities on them. But I remember saying to myself at that point in time, I said, I never want to have an interaction with someone that they feel horrendous. Like, oh, this guy's doing so much better than me. Like,
I see what you mean.
You know what I mean? So that's why now it's like, I just try to stay, like, I try to stay humble, man. I'm trying to stay humble. Like, I don't really like, we don't really like flex or anything like that. Like,
But you used to flex a bit before.
of course, used to, bro.
But you're very humble now. I do realize you're very humble.
I try. I try my best, bro. Sometimes, you know, it gets the best of me. You know what I mean? I still like to showcase for my brand, showcase where I'm going and so on and so forth. But like, I don't really like, I don't do like, you know what I mean? But that's just not my vibe.
Yeah,
you know,
I see
some
what you
people,
mean.
some people, that's their vibe, and I respect it. I respect it. That can bring you. A lot of people do like that. Like, there's a lot of people out there that they post, you know, the car, and I respect that. If you know what I mean?
That's what's working
Absolute.
for you.
If that's working for you, it's just, I know that for me, it's just like, I don't feel, like you said, you know, you got to find your flow.
Yeah.
That's not my flow. Like, I would come off like way too arrogant. Like, it's just, I don't feel good doing it. So for me, it's just like always like, you know, I just always want to keep it straight up. And like, that's why, like, literally, people ask me, like, even at the gym, they're like, what do you do? I was like, I work in marketing.
You don't
That's
tell
it.
them it's your company.
No, I don't tell them unless they start like, unless if they're starting to push back, like, oh, look at this fucking loser. Like,
But you know what I'll say? I think you should change that personally.
I know I should, because I'm missing out on a lot of business.
I've been really thinking about, especially since I've been starting this, like with the launch of this podcast, I've really been thinking how do I communicate better with people? Because now I'm having long form conversation. I really started thinking about it. And one thing I changed a lot is instead of judging somebody when they come speak to me, I just treat them like a human being, and I'm like, I'll just tell them the truth. So if they ask me what I do, I just say the truth. And I say the full truth. And if they want more details, then I give more details. I don't say like, I'm in real estate. Like I don't try to make them not ask more questions.
Yeah.
I just kind of say the truth. Like I have my business, I do this.
Yeah.
And then funny enough, at the gym specifically, we go to Monster Gym together every morning. And one guy was like, oh, really? You're doing that? He's like, usually I hate talking to people at the gym and stuff, but now I'm making this change because I want to communicate with more people. And he right away he goes, oh, my family owns a business in transport. Do you think you could find me a building?
Yeah.
And then he hits me up. I have a meeting with them. Now I'm trying to find him a building.
That's
and
good,
it's like,
man.
I know. And
That's
it's
good networking right there.
it's
though.
good networking. I'm trying my best.
Yeah, that's good, though.
But I took your advice without thinking about it, which is I didn't go there to say, if I speak to this guy, we have to do a deal together.
Yeah.
It was more just, if I speak to him, I'll tell him the truth. And if it happens, it happens. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. And there was 20 other people I've spoken
That's
to at the
crazy.
gym that nothing happened. And this guy could potentially be a deal. So I think it's
But you see,
important.
those
people
deals
know.
are crazy.
Yeah, I know. And
No.
it takes one good deal to make it
One
all
deal
worth
can
it.
change. Yeah, 80-20 too. You know, the 80-20% rule.
80-20, man. I love that.
It's actually